Hello, good afternoon. So, not too long ago, I was reading a book about a teaching from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And in this teaching, he was talking about how we learn to read as little kids. So, if you can try and think back and remember how that happened for you, I almost can bring it to my mind. I can remember exactly the little neighborhood school where I learned to read. But he described the process in this way. The teacher makes some squiggly lines on the board. And in this case, he was talking about the letter M. He says the teacher makes these squiggly lines on the board, and then the teacher tells you, this is the letter M. And it takes us a while to make the connection between the squiggly lines and the label of the letter M. And we try and we familiarize ourselves and we go over it and over it. And then slowly, slowly, we begin to see the squiggly lines as the letter M. And as we read it initially, it takes us a little effort. We stop on the word and try to remember what those squiggly lines are. And then it comes to mind, oh, it's the letter M. And as we continue with the learning process, it becomes so familiar to us that all we have to do is look at those squiggly lines, and they're pretty much automatically we can say, oh, that's the letter M. And further down the line, we even forget that we gave those squiggly lines the label M. And pretty soon, we don't even see the squiggly lines anymore. We only see the label letter M. That's a process very similar to the process that we use to label everything around us, including people. And one of the things that I have noticed in our recent discourse on race and ethnicity, the labels that we are giving to people such as brown people, black people, white people, Asian people. And now we have even more sophisticated terms, brown communities, black communities, white communities. And those labels are really made up of everything we have ever read, seen, heard, talked about, thought about. People who are included within those categories. So we assemble this mass of information, thoughts, ideas about these people, and we fit those within those labels. And then when we see somebody who meets that label, we automatically bring forward everything that we have ever heard, read, seen, or talked about in relationship to them. And we think that that label fits. Not only that, we connect all that information to the color of the person. And we equate the person with the color of their skin and all the information that we have acquired before about people that look like this person. And in all that, we lose sight of the fact that there is now that we are actually talking about an individual with individual characteristics, individual talents, individual skills, background, experiences, thoughts, feelings, attitudes toward the world. We no longer see the individual, we see the color of their skin, and we think we're seeing reality. And we proceed to engage, interact, think about, and talk about this person as if that person wear the label of everything that we've ever known about people in this category. When we bring a label of generalities to someone, conceptualization to someone, we lose sight of who they are as individuals, and therefore completely forget about their humanity, forget about their needs, their emotions, and they become nothing more than the color of their skin. I'm going to bring you some examples right now. My own experience. Not my own experience 10 years ago. Not my own experience 5 years ago. My experience a few weeks ago. I was talking with a friend. My friend said, I'm dating a policeman. My immediate 1 second, split second actually, unthinking reaction was, you do not need a policeman in your life. Clear cut. No questions asked. No information about who this person is, where they come from, how do you meet, are you having a good time? Nothing. All I knew was that one piece of information, this person is a policeman, and that was enough for me to know everything I needed to know about that person. Of course, later, after I hung up the phone and thought about it, because the energy behind that statement reverberated with me. I knew there was something in there that I needed to look at. So I went and I thought about it. Why did I say that to my friend? So categorically, emphatically, no, you don't need that person in your life. I told myself initially, well, being a policeman is a very stressful job. It's very dangerous. And frankly, my friend has a very stressful life already, so I figure, that kind of stress, maybe not for you at this moment. And of course, I told myself that, and that was kind of a kind, caring thought. It's like, that's not so bad. Huh? Yeah. Except that I knew there was some other thing lingering behind it that I did not want to look at. Because I'm not that kind of person. I don't have biases. I don't think badly of people. But I was brave. I overcame the fear of knowing something about myself that perhaps I did not agree with, but that was still there. And I looked further, and guess what I found? Killer, police brutality, anti-immigrant. What is my friend going to do with a person who doesn't care about immigrants because my friend is a daughter of an immigrant? All of a sudden, everything that I have read, thought of, talked about, heard about policemen applied to this poor man whom I know nothing about. And I proceeded to relate to the thought of that person as if he met every one of those things that I have learned. But it doesn't stop there. Of course, in this situation, I found that I have a very strong bias against this person, but it doesn't stop there. Sometime later, I again spoke with my friend, and wanting to look more accepting, wanting to soften my original reaction, I asked, are you still dating the policeman? She said no. Now, she said, I'm dating an engineer from Brazil. And I went, oh, how lovely, how wonderful, a Brazilian. Why? did I react in this way? Because I felt that immediate connection with someone who's also an immigrant. And I immediately, automatically, very deeply felt that this person, that I knew this person, I'm connected with this person. I know something about their experience, their background, what they must have gone through, why they're here. Their whole experience immediately came in front of me in my mind, and I said, oh, this is my kind of person. Again, I didn't know anything about this person. At the time, he was a Brazilian engineer. But if I hadn't stopped to think about what I said and how I felt, I would not have come to know what kind of biases for and against people are in my mind. And I wouldn't have done then the work of identifying, oh, why are these biases present? How did they get there? And how are they affecting how I relate to people around me? So the first clue on how to identify these things, these thoughts that are so embedded, so deep, so part of our consciousness, is to pay attention to what we say and do in certain situations. What's coming up in our mind? For example, you go to a grocery store where you see people of diverse backgrounds, ethnicities, and races. Do you go to a cashier that looks like you? Do you feel more comfortable having someone help you in the grocery store who looks like you versus another staff who looks different from you? Ask yourself why. But do it in a gentle and kind way, with curiosity, not with judgment or criticism, with a real desire to understand what's in your mind and dispel any erroneous thinking that is actually blocking you from connecting with someone with whom it would be nice to connect, who's blocking your ability to really engage with all who are part of your experience and world. When you're walking down the street and you see a group of men coming towards you who are speaking a different language, look different from you, do you get nervous? Do you clutch your purse a little tighter? Do you perhaps cross the street so that you don't have to go by them? Why? Ask yourself why. Why do you feel that way? What are the causes of that behavior? If you're being cared for by a nurse at the health clinic or the hospital or your physician's office, and a nurse that speaks with an accent comes to help you, is taking your vital signs, do you ask yourself whether or not this person is qualified? Do you get a sense that maybe that person doesn't know as much as you wish they did? Do you wish you had another person coming to help you, another nurse? Ask yourself why. What gives you that impression? And how can you go about changing that attitude? If you're in the break room at work and your coworkers next to you at the next table are having a great old time, speaking a different language, laughing, do you think they're talking about you? Do you think they're laughing at you? Why? Why is that? And don't be afraid to go deep and then judge yourself. Just try to just figure out where and how you got those ideas and whether or not they're serving you at this moment. When we explore those labels, those biases with gentleness and kindness, we're more likely to get to a place where we can unearth what those are and work to change them. Because the truth of the matter is that no matter how many protests we go to, how many marches we join, how many bumper stickers we put on our car, unless we actually change what's in our hearts or minds, it'll be very difficult to make any progress. You can vote politicians in and out of office as many times as you want, but if you are still relating to others based on your biases and labels, we're still all in the same spot. So I invite you to do this work. It's fun. And that's where real change takes place. Thank you.